Most people think they know where the real money in Houston comes from. Oil rigs, giant corporations, billionaire executives in glass towers downtown. But what if I told you the real story of wealth in Houston is far more layered than that? Hidden behind the headlines are individuals who quietly turned culture, strategy, real estate, and industry into serious financial power. And in this video, you're going to see exactly how some of the most influential Black figures in Houston built their wealth. From music legends who turned fame into real estate empires, to hedge fund traders moving millions in a single day, to energy executives operating on a global scale. Stay with me, because by the end, you'll discover who truly sits at the top of Houston's Black wealth hierarchy and how they built it. Houston is one of the most powerful economic cities in America. Energy, logistics, real estate, sports, and private capital all collide here at massive scale. It's a city where entire industries are built and fortunes rise quietly behind the scenes. But beyond the skylines and oil headlines, there's a quieter layer of power shaping how money actually moves. This isn't a story about overnight fame or viral success. It's about positioning, timing, and individuals who understood how to operate inside Houston's economic engine and turn opportunity into long-term leverage. Some of these figures built fortunes through entertainment and culture. Others did it through real estate, finance, or industrial assets. A few moved between all of them. This isn't a strict ranking of bank accounts either. Instead, it's a strategic look at Black wealth and influence in Houston and how certain figures carved out control inside one of America's most competitive economic ecosystems. We begin with number 10, Trey the Truth, the community architect. Our countdown starts not with a man living in a penthouse overlooking downtown Houston, but with someone who owns influence on the streets where he came from. Fraser Athol Thompson III, better known to the world as Trey the Truth, is one of the clearest examples of social capital turning into financial equity. Most people recognize Trey as a Texas rap legend, a longtime member of the Screwed Up clique whose voice helped narrate the struggles and resilience of Houston's communities for years. His music gave him recognition, but what came next is where the real strategy began. Trey understood something many entertainers learned too late. Fame fades, but ownership lasts. Instead of relying purely on music income, he began building a portfolio of businesses tied directly to the communities that supported him. His approach wasn't simply endorsing brands, he wanted equity. That meant ownership stakes in franchise businesses, particularly in food and retail spaces. One of the most talked about ventures he became involved with was an ice cream franchise concept known as Howdy Homemade. The business gained attention not only because of its products, but also because it created jobs for individuals with special needs. For Trey, it was a blend of social impact and smart business strategy. The model works because Houston trusts him. When Trey opens a business, the city shows up. Customers support the brand not only for the product, but because of the man behind it. That kind of loyalty is powerful currency. Outside of retail ventures, Trey has quietly expanded into real estate within Houston. His approach focuses on buying property in neighborhoods that shaped his life. Instead of abandoning those communities, he's investing directly back into them. Then there's his organization, Relief Gang, which became widely known for mobilizing aid during disasters and crises in Houston. Food drives, supply distribution, emergency response, Trey's team shows up when people need help most. But that humanitarian work also strengthened his network and influence across the city. Major corporations looking to connect with local communities often find themselves working through Trey. He has partnered with major brands, legal firms, and companies that want credibility and access within Houston neighborhoods. His estimated net worth sits in the high single-digit millions, but his real value goes far beyond numbers. The ability to mobilize thousands of people, build partnerships across industries, and move resources quickly makes him one of the most influential connectors in Houston's ecosystem. Trey the Truth proved that you don't have to leave your neighborhood to conquer the boardroom. You just have to start buying the property around it. At number 9 is Slim Thug, the construction boss. If Trey the Truth is the community architect, Slim Thug is the literal builder. Stave Jerome Thomas built his name in music with the swagger of Houston hip-hop, delivering one of the most iconic verses on the legendary track Still Tippin'. But behind the music was someone studying something very different: construction and real estate. While many rappers spent their early success on luxury purchases, Slim Thug began paying attention to property markets and development. Over time, he founded Boss Life Construction, a company that became deeply involved in Houston's rebuilding and housing market. After Hurricane Harvey devastated huge parts of the city, Slim saw an opportunity not just to help, but to rebuild smarter. He began acquiring distressed properties in neighborhoods he knew well, particularly in North Houston. These homes were renovated with higher quality materials and modern finishes, then rented or sold back into the community. The concept behind Boss Life Construction is simple but effective. Create housing that sits between low-income housing and overpriced luxury developments. Affordable luxury. Homes that look good, feel modern, but remain within reach of local residents. Slim Thug often jokes that he makes more money while sleeping than he does performing on stage. That's because rental properties and appreciating land values generate income even when he's not working. Over time, he has accumulated rows of single-family homes and valuable land lots across Houston. As the city continues expanding outward, those properties become increasingly valuable. His lifestyle reflects success: custom cars, a large estate, but the foundation of his wealth is exactly that: foundations, lumber, and property deeds. Slim Thug shifted from selling CDs to selling keys, ensuring his wealth will outlast his music career. Number 8 belongs to Bun B, the Burger King of the South. Bernard Freeman, better known as Bun B, is already legendary in hip-hop as half of the iconic duo UGK. His influence in music and Southern culture is undeniable. But in recent years, he stepped into a different lane: food entrepreneurship. His brand, Trill Burgers, started as a pop-up food concept. What looked like a fun side project quickly turned into a serious business opportunity. In 2022, the brand exploded into national attention when Good Morning America named Trill Burgers the best burger in America. That recognition instantly elevated the company's value and demand. Lines began stretching for hours at events where the burgers were sold. At the Houston Rodeo alone, the brand generated massive revenue in just a few days. Eventually, the pop-up transformed into a permanent restaurant location in Houston, which quickly became a cultural hotspot. The brilliance of Bun B's strategy is intellectual property. The word trill, which became famous through UGK's music and Houston slang culture, was turned into a trademarked brand asset. Now, that cultural phrase is tied to a scalable food business. Investors have begun valuing the brand in the tens of millions, with discussions around expanding the concept nationally. While Bun B still earns royalties from decades of music, his wealth is increasingly tied to the equity of this rapidly growing food brand. At number 7, we reach J. Prince, the godfather of leverage. James Prince is one of the most respected and feared figures in the music industry. As the founder of Rap-A-Lot Records, he played a massive role in building Southern hip-hop into a global force. But his real genius wasn't just signing artists, it was controlling the infrastructure behind them. At a time when most labels handed over control to larger corporations in New York or Los Angeles, J. Prince built a vertically integrated system. He controlled publishing rights, distribution channels, and master recordings. When artists like the Ghetto Boys achieved commercial success, the revenue flowed directly back into Houston. Beyond music, Prince expanded his interests into boxing, managing world champions such as Floyd Mayweather and Andre Ward. Major fight negotiations can generate enormous payouts for managers, and Prince was involved in some of the most lucrative bouts in boxing history. His wealth includes ranches, international property, and an island off the coast of Belize. But perhaps his most valuable asset is influence. In entertainment circles, when deals stall or conflicts escalate, people often call J. Prince. His role as a mediator and power broker has given him a reputation that extends far beyond Houston. At number 6 is James Harden, the modern mogul. Known worldwide for his basketball talent, Harden became one of the most recognizable athletes during his years with the Houston Rockets. His NBA contracts alone have generated over $330 million in career earnings. Endorsements from brands like Adidas pushed his total income towards $500 million. Harden didn't limit his investments to endorsements. He began acquiring stakes in businesses, restaurants, and even sports teams connected to Houston. One of his most visible ventures is a luxury restaurant called 13, a high-end dining spot that attracts athletes, entrepreneurs, and Houston's social elite. He also invested early in Body Armor, the sports drink company that eventually sold to Coca-Cola for billions. Early investors received enormous payouts when that acquisition closed. Instead of accepting a standard endorsement fee, Foreman negotiated a partnership deal that gave him a percentage of every grill sold. The product exploded globally, eventually selling over 100 million units. In 1999, Foreman sold the rights to the brand name for a reported $137.5 million in cash and stock. That deal alone made him wealthier than most athletes in history at the time. Foreman invested heavily into Texas real estate, acquiring land, estates, and commercial properties. His massive property in Huffman, Texas, spans dozens of acres and includes luxury facilities and even an animal sanctuary. Number 4 is Bill Perkins, the hedge fund cowboy. Perkins operates in one of Houston's most powerful industries, energy trading. As the head of Schuyler Capital, he manages large pools of capital tied to natural gas and electricity markets. Energy trading is high-stakes finance. One correct market prediction can generate millions in a single day. Perkins previously worked under legendary trader John Arnold at Centaurus Energy, where the firm made billions predicting energy price movements. His personal net worth exceeds $100 million, and he's also known for writing the book Die with Zero, which challenges traditional views about saving and spending wealth. At number 3 is Gerald Smith, the money manager. As CEO of Smith Graham & Company, he oversees billions of dollars in assets for pension funds, cities, and institutions. When teachers retire or firefighters collect pensions, firms like his are responsible for growing those funds through investments. With roughly $6 billion under management, Smith operates at the highest level of finance. Number 2 is Sherman Lewis, the infrastructure titan. Founder of the Lewis Group, Lewis built a company focused on aviation support, defense contracts, and environmental engineering. Government contracts in these industries can be worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and the barrier to entry is extremely high. Security clearances, technical expertise, and decades of credibility are required. Lewis built exactly that. And finally, at number 1 stands Kwesi Lawal, the oil baron. Founder of KMAC International, Lawal built one of the largest black-owned oil and gas companies in the world. Operating across the United States, Africa, and the Middle East, his company controlled major energy assets and international contracts at its peak. That expansion pushed his wealth into billionaire territory during its height. While parts of the business later faced restructuring as markets shifted, the scale he built remains historic within the energy industry. What these stories reveal is that wealth in Houston doesn't come from one path. Some built it through culture, some through real estate, some through finance, and others through global industry. But they all understood the same principle. True power comes from ownership, influence, and long-term strategy. And in a city like Houston, where industries worth billions intersect every day, those who position themselves correctly can quietly build fortunes that shape the entire economic landscape.